Welcome back to Think Rugby podcast with myself, Xav and Andy, who's got a nice one top on today, although we are not speaking a single word about Irish rugby, I don't think, or anything planned, so to speak, anyway, about Ireland. But nonetheless, well, things a bit different this week, so we're going to speak a little bit about some promotional stuff, some, I don't want to give it away too much, but some big names, big stars getting signed, big promotions. Yeah, I think I've given it away there. But also, we're going to speak about Andy's exquisite weekend in Edinburgh. Boxing, now I guess matchroom rugby, you call it, but matchroom promotions, they have signed two superstars of the sport, which are Henry Pollock and Finn Russell. One of the two highest profile players in the UK. Obviously, Pollock's got a long way to go in terms of being one of the best, but in terms of high profile, Pollock has got it down to a T. He's current, he's modern, he's still a kid, really, up and coming star. And then Finn Russell's already that established kind of cool kind of. I think Finn Russell will be like the cool uncle. I kind of feel that everybody wants to be around in that. He's just like that kind of maverick, kind of cool kind of guy, cool, collected. Doesn't take things. Well, he takes things very seriously, but doesn't act like it. And people wouldn't come across like that. But that's what makes him so special. And he's a best Clive Award kind of player, also the best fly half in the world, may I add. Beside these two players, which got me thinking, other players do you reckon are going to go down the same route as these guys? I think we can maybe list off maybe three. I've got a couple of names at the top of my head, and I'm thinking of like the home nations. I go as far and like even list off like players from like the Six Nations, but let's just do the home nations to start with. Obviously, you've got Finn Russell for Scotland, and then Henry Pollock for England. There'll be another English guy getting signed at some point. I'm just not 100% sure who yet. I might have a little prediction afterwards. So Wales, top of your head, Andy, any players, and you can't just agree with who I've got to say, but is there any players that might spring to mind that could potentially be suitable for matchroom promotions in terms of like grow the sport?
I suppose with the criteria there, it would be a case of somebody who's maybe not the finished article just yet, or maybe is the finished article, and then also somebody that's got a bit of a presence. I immediately think Dewey Lake, and then Aaron Wainwright and Jack Morgan. Jack Morgan's probably the number one candidate out of those three, I would say.
So I initially think Jack Morgan, then a little bulb kind of sprung to my mind. Player, he's maybe not getting the publicity he was before, but with a bit of promotion, I think he'll be back in the limelight. Maybe Summit.
Of course, yeah. How could I forget?
I think he's a bit of a pretty boy, cracking rugby player. Boy, played for the Bears and that. I think he's at that kind of age, the experience. He's been away to like the NFL as well, so he's got a wee bit of form in America and internationally as well. I think Louis Zamet would be an ideal candidate for as such. Thinking of Ireland, and I kind of struggled quite a lot with Ireland, to be honest. I was kind of thinking, I was like, will they go with somebody like with a bit of experience? Because I don't think there's any like extremely young guy with that kind of aura. Ireland. Like obviously Prendergast, I don't think Prendergast needs that kind of attention just now. I think he's used to focus on his own rugby career. I don't think Crowley is that kind of guy, to be honest. I was kind of thinking, who would it be? I floated the idea with Doris, but I was like, Doris is the captain, he's probably like, nah, fuck that. I was really, I was kind of struggling with Ireland, to be honest, and I still don't know. Be honest, I still don't know. I think it would be a weird thing that maybe James Lowe might do just because he's everybody's villain. And I think, sorry, you might just do it but I'm really unsure. In terms of England, though, back to England, back in my brain, to be fair, there could be a good few players. I think in the back row, even in the front row, even like a player like Ellis Genge or somebody.
That's what I was going to say.
I think Ellis Genge, because his kind of background he's from. He's southwest country based, if you got like Zama and also Ellis Genge. Again, if you're looking at upcoming players, I could be completely. I don't think I am with this, but if you think of star players and everything, this guy isn't in the setup just yet. He will be. He will be. There'll be Theo Bosso on one wing, who might be in for a shout as well. But guy, I guess Freeman could be in a shout as well. But this guy, he's young. He's still a teenager technically. He's absolutely tearing up the Gallagher Premiership. His name is Noah Kalori for Saracens. He's averaged a try every 54 minutes or 55 minutes this season so far. And 5 tries against Sale Shark just there. Fixture against Sale Shark, and he went and scored some other tries against Sale Shark just at the weekend just passed. I think he's the sort of profile players that Eddie Hearn and matchroom promotions will go for going into the future. been in like London based and that as well. Saracens, a massive club. I don't know if Matchroom will go any further afield. Obviously they've signed boxers from like America, from everywhere basically, from Ukraine and everywhere. I think they'll probably just keep it a bit kind of based in UK for now. If we were to go further afield, let's go to like Six Nations kind of countries. I would say if it was an Italian player, it would have to be two players spring to mind. Menoncello being the first one, the obvious kind of pick. But I would also say somebody such as Ross Vincent, who plays in England, but also is one of Italy's best promising players, who unfortunately was injured in the Six Nations campaign. But I'd say somebody like Ross Vincent, who is, I guess, he's not English, but he studies at Exeter Uni, or did, and he plays for Exeter as well. In terms of France, I mean, it is a bit self-explanatory, let's be honest. You could get Jalibert, you could get Dupont, there's so many names there. Jalibert and Dupont are probably the two guys that would probably that kind of character there. But that was just a little interesting kind of side thing that I thought about, to be honest. They're not going to stop at two players. They're not going to stop at Pollock and Russell. They're going to keep expanding and keep promoting. What's your overall thought on the actual whole thing, like this promotion business coming into not rugby as such, but like into the rugby kind of environment? These players, is it a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing? Do you think it's going to revolutionise the game? Do you think it's going to help like actually like bums on seats, or kind of thoughts?
Well, I immediately think it's something different. I think it's definitely something positive. I don't think Eddie Hearn has done yet. I think at least one more. I think he'll come out and be like, I've got three kind of big guys or big stars kind of signed with them, that sort of thing. I think the amount of interest it's gained just off of the back of Pollock, never mind Russell.
Yep.
I do think it's a very good thing. I think that it's going to get more eyeballs onto the sport, because I think at the moment a lot of people casual fans would maybe just watch the Six Nations, the big internationals, and to be fair, that's where the big money is to be made. In terms of the Prem itself, I think it's going to be very good for the Prem. I think the Prem has been coming up anyway. More fans on the go, that sort of thing, a little bit more investment. Obviously, there's not the relegation that there is. I disagree with it, but you look at Bath, Lord Dyson's invested in it, and I think Eddie Hearn has maybe seen that as well, and maybe along with the big names and everything. He said himself that rugby's a sport that's very good for working with big brands and everything. So I think there's more to come, and I think it's a very good thing.
You mentioned about like kind of closely with the Gulf Cup Prem, which I think is what he's going to target, is the Gulf Cup Prem like kind of players, which is why I kind of think likes of Zamet, like I mentioned, like Ross Vincent and players like that. So you mentioned to me before, I think it was today actually, there's 7 out of the 10 teams in the Gulf Cup Prem, how many teams there are, 7 of them of some sort of financial complications, some sort of insecurities in their finances. I can't remember the exact terminology or words he used. That means there needs to be more revenue. There's only so much you can do in terms of getting folk and bums on seats. I think that's a big part of it, getting bums on seats, actually going to the games to watch it. And also with these players becoming superstars, or like the sporting world getting promoted and being these big superstars will help, because people, if you look at football, people went to watch Ronaldo and Messi, for example. They'll go watch Haaland. They'll go watch I wouldn't like to say Bruno Fernandes. Nobody's from Aberdeen anyway. But they go watch players. They go to the games to watch the players because they love seeing the players play, even though they like the team. Like what Glasgow. I like Bath. I really like Bath or Bristol Bears. If you've got these big players like branded up as big superstars, you are going to more likely, or there's more people more likely going to go watch that game, because you've got these big superstars being promoted, being branded as this big thing and this big kind of icon in that. That's going to get more bums and seats. Also, get more revenue in terms of shirt sales as well, because that's still a bit of an untapped market. You don't see too many shirts going about in comparison to football. And I think that's one thing that really needs to change, is getting the names of the back of shirts, getting them out as well. And I think that's where there's going to be a big market. Having Pollock, number 8, Northampton, whatever, Russell 10, for example. And I think that could be a very, very big market in the future.
Just to touch on that a wee bit, you were saying earlier that you were struggling to think of Irish players to maybe sign with Eddie Hearn. I think a big problem is the fact that there's such a lack of access to players. I would say particularly from Ireland, they're probably the worst out of all the home nations to be given access and stuff. And listen, I mean, I'm by no means promoting we're rivals. I've heard them say on the BBC Scotland rugby podcast that Andy Bark has said, yeah, well, they get to go and interview a heap of players and stuff before a Six Nations campaign, you know, Gregor Townsend and then say half a dozen players. In Ireland, their Northern Irish correspondent, maybe we get one or two questions with one player. That's it. I think that's another issue as well.
Yeah, okay. Sheltered, they're quite sheltered, and they really are quite. No, I wouldn't say, I suppose, far to say secretive, but they're very sheltered and like they don't really give much. Yeah, to the wider kind of world, the wider kind of press. Being honest, that's a really fair point you made there, Andy. The interesting stuff. I mean, Irish rugby as a whole aren't really struggling as such. Okay, they can't even feel like Leinster games or like even half the stadium, but I think they're struggling too much financially when they're getting Ricky Iwani and Snyman over still on these super contracts and that. But Irish rugby as a whole be something to learn from, to be honest. Why would you not like to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and competing to be the best? So be a learning curve, and maybe they might learn the hard way when they get left behind, if they get left behind. Cool. Andy, how was your weekend?
Boozy, very boozy, Xav. I drank responsibly, but I was still very, very boozy. What about you?
My weekend was fine. I think I was jealous of your weekend. What were you doing down in the capital? Were you maybe watching some rugby, perhaps?
Was indeed, yes. Me and my fiance, we went down to the capital. I tied in with a uni on campus day. And I was like, yeah, well, why not? Let's go and see Edinburgh. Oh, they're playing Zebre. Surely they should beat them. And yeah, they did.
No, good stuff. So, tell us about Andy. What kind of things did you kind of get up to? Like, well, how was the game to start with, I guess, and then the after game and everything. How was it?
So the big thing for me that I immediately took from the game was, wow, what a fucking pace they play at. I know I've been to Six Nation games before, I've been to Autumn Internationals before. Obviously, you and I play at amateur level, but to be that close in like a 7,000 seater stadium or whatever the Hive is, I think it was just shy of 6.5 on Friday night, and to see the speed in which these elite level players play at, and everybody round about us was just like, no, this is a dead rubber game. You know, we've seen them play better, and you think, to be fair, Glasgow would probably play a lot better and quicker than this. When I'm like, yeah, but the speed and the ferocity some of the carries were, even not just like, just when I mean the speed, I mean like going ruck to ruck to ruck and then phase to phase to phase, and then the ball's been booted out and then it's immediately bang, line out, and I'm like, I've actually got a bit of newfound respect for elite level rugby players. It sounds really naive of me to not think it, but you kind of take it for granted when all you're seeing is them on the TV and then them, you know, like they're in person kind of thing.
I would say, like, see when folk are watching on TV or watching like on the big screen and everything, they're sitting there with like that beer in their hand, like borderline alcoholics, like, how did he fuck that up? Blah, blah, blah. He could have done this, he could have done that. Like, mate, you have no idea what it's like to be on that like level of rugby. It's like none of us do, and I can appreciate it because I generally have no idea, and I know what like it is playing just amateur rugby as well, and yourself included. To have folk being critical like that, sitting with a tinny in hand at home, it's like, bro, shut the fuck up. It's really, really, really cool. Like you kind of experienced all that and everything, but yeah, the speed is so much faster, and you got to remember this is elite. Like, you got all these players like absolutely going for it. They're getting paid at the end of the day. If they don't perform, they'll lose their contract, won't get paid. So no, experience. You got down by pitch side. You got some really nice photos, cracking photos you sent me the other day. I was quite jealous of that. Yeah, I heard you met some friends outside the stadium though.
I did indeed. Well, a bit of a funny story before the game is, oh, there's Darcy Graham, and I just blurted out, oh, Darcy, can I get a photo? He came over, nice enough photo, I'll put on the screen now, and then before kick-off, obviously, I had a few kind of pints. I think those that were sitting around me and my fiance could kind of tell that we had a few before we, you know, kind of got to the game, but whatever. Yeah, I went to the toilet, I was like, my God, there's Van der Merwe. So I got a photo with them. Not in the toilet, I'll make that point very, very clear now. That photo was taken outside, not at the toilet, and he was 10 out of 10. A really lovely guy. Surprisingly not as tall as what I thought he was, but yeah, a lovely guy. And then after the game, I got a photo with Darcy again. maybe more my fiance that kind of called him over because she never got to meet him earlier. But what can I say? Darcy Graham, he just pulls wherever he goes. Who else did we meet? Also met Skuman and Tupelotu, really smashing guys. Like, it's going to sound really odd, but all I wanted to do was like shake their hand and be like, oh, kind of good game to you and everything. And then Boan Venter, the match winner, yeah, what an absolute beast to a man. He, about a wee bit taller than me, but like honestly, his arms were about the same size as my leg. That was how like massive they were. And I put out my hand, shook his hand. I thought, I'm not going to get this hand back, was what was going through my mind. And then all I thought to say was, yeah, just good game and congrats on getting capped for the Springboks. Yeah, lovely guy.
It's really nice and really humbling because these guys are just normal blokes at the end of the day. They are. They've got a different kind of persona compared to football players. So it's really nice that they do interact with the fans and that, even though they're drunk and disorderly. Joking, Andy. I'm only joking. Fuck, baby. But yeah, it's really good, really humbling experience and that as well. Getting to chat to them. Musese seems like an absolute legend of a guy. Glad that he signed his contract. He's got a new 2-year deal with Glasgow Warriors. He's got a lot more to give. Obviously, he's been
Edinburgh.
like I said, for 10 months. Edinburgh, so it's a long day with Edinburgh. So it'd be good for him to showcase what he can do. Get onto the Scotland scene yet. I mean, a very competitive position. But kind of, again, been injured in that as well. Well, not injured now anymore, but had been injured previously. Also, wait too long. You just don't know what might happen. There might be that little gap opening up in the Scotland squad, whether it's on the bench or reserves as well. So, I played him. I think he's got like 15 caps for Edinburgh already, which is not too bad, especially being injured for almost the whole season. Many more to come. He's only 24 still, a young guy. So, I love the stuff. Glad you enjoyed it. I never watched the game. I was away myself. I was away for the weekend and that. But I was really I was happy to see that you had a great time. The island of Shetland and then back into the capital, into the lovely city is Edinburgh. Cool, nice one. So the promotional stuff that I was mentioning about. So to kind of bring this up, I thought, what better time than now when there's maybe less kind of rugby news going about. Still got another week or 2 or 3 weeks till the Champions Cup and that. Anything else you want to discuss today?
Do you want to talk about Glasgow and what this means for the rest of the season?
Let's do it.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, Glasgow did the same thing at the weekend as what they did 2 years ago. They went down to South Africa and lost away to the Bulls. Not the Bulls, what am I talking about? The Fidelity
Lions.
Drive Sure Lions or whatever the fuck they're. But yeah, the Lions, yeah. And I wouldn't say it's the fact they lost, but I think it's the manner of the defeat. And Franco Smith, again, was very much saying, this is so fucking hard, stay off the boys. This is 2 losses in a row, and Glasgow go away to the Stormers, I think it would be. Whoever it is at second, I can't remember. They go and play them this weekend. There's only 4 points difference. Glasgow lose that game and they lose without picking up a bonus point or whoever it is they're playing. They get the 5 points. That's it for Glasgow at the top, I think. And if they don't get at least second, bearing in mind how difficult a run-in they have got left, could disaster strike for, could this season end up going from being quite promising and really good at the start to just the wheels completely falling off and turning into a complete disaster for Glasgow and Franco Smith?
No, because as long as they still get like a top 4 finish, they get a home leg.
They get a home quarter final, but realistically, as we talked about either last week or the week before, you'd kind of expect Glasgow to definitely get to the semis, if not the final.
Agree. I do think that they need to. They've got to target the win the actual league outright, just through the quarterfinals, semi-finals, and that. But to win it, we have most points at the end of the season would be an achievement. They can really hard work for it now. They just ran out of steam, possibly. I think there've been more games. They've not been utilising their squad as much. They've had that injury setbacks as well. But it's just the nature of rugby, is it? Let's see. It'll be an interesting finish though. I would have rather had the league wrapped up with a game to go, but that doesn't seem like it's going to happen anymore. It's going to be down to the final day. Might not. Glasgow might completely just mess it up completely. We'll see what happens this coming weekend. I'm not going to say I'm nervous, but it's always going to be tough. It'll be what it'll be. It's going to be tough, but here's hoping that Glasgow can turn it around. That 2 losses and those two, like, not wouldn't say negative results, but results that didn't go their way, and transition that into a positive and go out there and get a result. 5 points, it needs to be 5 points, and a zero for the Stormers. I've got to say on it.
Fair enough.
Well, see how we get on. I'm predicting a Glasgow win because I always back Glasgow. Edinburgh, I think maybe. I don't think so. Well, they're obviously not going to qualify for the top 8, that's a certainty. But it was good to see they actually got a win this weekend just past that. Obviously, you were there. You must be the good luck charm, Andy. Get to the next game. Get the good luck charm again. We don't drink as many pints this time. But no, anyway. So, thank you very much for watching. Get stuck in. Let us know your thoughts about Matchroom Promotions and how you think they'll get on with the rugby, the promotion side of things. Who do you think they're going to sign to their promotion as well? Be very interested to see if we get any of the predictions right. I'm convinced Zam will sign at some point. I am absolutely convinced. We'll see what happens. Get to subscribe, leave a like, and share with anyone who wants to see or needs to see this. Guys, next one.
Bye bye.